Silent Separation by Guman, Chapter 2. Turned Around. The sun sets in the west. The late afternoon sunlight covered the sky. Yichen stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window in the office on the 10th floor, surprised by why he was in the mood to admire the setting sun. Perhaps because she came back. Minton opened the door to see Loi He with his back to her standing in front of the window. He held out a cigarette in his hand and had a desolate appearance. Desolate? Minton simply doubted her own eyes. Can this word be used for Loi He, who has always been full of confidence, calm and collect? Yichen heard the door open, turned around and asked, "What's the matter?" "Oh," Minton snapped out of her own thoughts and quickly said, "Loi He, Vice President John of Huonyun Corp has arrived. Invite him to come in." Yichen pushed away his chaotic train of thoughts and wholeheartedly engrossed himself into his work. He glanced at the clock on the wall, 5 o'clock, but she had not come yet. Finally, he sent away Vice President John. Yichen wordily leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes to rest. Suddenly, a large palm slapped his shoulder. Yichen gradually opened his eyes. "Lao Yun?" After graduating from the university, he declined postgraduate study offer and instead started working in Yichen law firm, which was now being renamed as Yichen He, since he became one of the partners. Lao Yun and another partner, Shinhe, were also University C alumni. Shinhe graduated a year earlier than him, whereas Lao Yun graduated many years ago. The tall, sturdy, and big person, who looked more like a bandit, leisurely sat down across from him and arrogantly crossed his leg. "What do you plan to do later?" Yichen said without looking up. "Overtime?" "Cannot be," Lao Yun shrugged. "Today's the weekend." "So what?" "So what?" Lao Yun repeated his words and shook his head. This really sounded like something a cold-blooded, ruthless workaholic Yichen would say. Yichen squinted. "I certainly did not know you were so good at rhetorical." No, Lao Yun shook his hand. "This is a conscience from all female who know Yichen." Lao Yun leaned forward. "Yichen, I have been wanting to ask you. Actually, are you gay or have an unmanageable illness?" Regarding this kind of silly nonsense, only someone who's crazy will pay attention to it. Yichen thought. Minton came in with 2 cups of coffee, and Yichen asked her, "Didn't Miss Zhao come in today?" Minton thought for a moment, shook her head, and said no. Yichen grunted to show that he heard and said to Minton, "I don't have much to do here, so you better go home early." Minton shook her head and said, "I'm in no hurry. Loi He, when are you leaving? Do you need me to help you to buy something to eat?" "There's no need, thank you." Minton got the message and left with a disappointed look on her face. Lao Yun laughed heartily. "Hey, pretty girl Minton is interesting you. An office romance. That doesn't sound so bad." "She's a decent girl. You better not say such nonsense," Yichen warned her. A heart of stone. Lao Yun subtly shook his head. Yichen's attitude towards women has always been courteous and thoughtful, but never more. All these years, who knows how many women have had their hearts broken by the name of Yichen. But the woman coming in drove cannot be blamed, as even from Lao Yun's male's perspective, Yichen was outstanding. Disregarding his heroic spirits and compelling outward appearance, merely these few years, his reputation in the legal circle rose rapidly. In addition, his firm, persistence, and upright image was more than enough to attract any proud and beautiful woman. "What kind of woman do you actually like?" "There are so many women, none can touch your heart." That beautiful woman who was the director of a former company, her body figure was very hot. That television hostess who also cooperated with you for such a long time. Don't tell me there is not even a little sparkle. There is also our able and efficient peer, Su Pei Li. I met her in court today and she was still subtly asking about you. The more Lao Yun talked, the more excited he became. Yichen turned a deaf ear. letting him continue on talking nonsense. A one-man show, so Lao Yun stopped in frustration. A while later, he said excitedly, I know, it must be your sister Yi Mei. You treat her the best. Yi Mei often came to the office, so Lao Yun was very familiar with her. She is my sister, Yichen quickly said. Come on, both of you are not blood related, Lao Yun said knowingly. That does not change anything. Yichen's tone was quite mild, but Lao Yun could still hear the firmness in his voice. Lao Yun shook his head and did not say anything, as he had experienced Yichen's stubbornness before. Loi He, Minton came in holding an envelope. A lady just sent this here. Yichen knew what it was just by touching it. Where is that lady? She left immediately after leaving this envelope. Gone already? Yichen looked disappointed. How long has she gone? Less than a minute? Yichen did not think much. He just picked up the car keys and coat and went out. Lao Yun followed him from behind and shouted, Where are you going? He did not even seem to have heard. At the front door, Lao Yun happened to meet Shen He, who had just returned from the court. What happened to him? Shen He looked at the direction Yichen left, said thoughtfully, I think I know why. You know? Say it quickly, say it quickly. I just saw a person downstairs. I thought I saw it wrongly. I did not expect it could be her. Who? Don't keep me in suspense, Lao Yun said impatiently. What kind of person do you think Yichen is? Shen He did not answer, but instead asked. Calm, rational, and objective, Lao Yun fair evaluation. In that case, this person will make him not calm, not rational, and not objective. Lao Yun asked curiously, A woman? Yes, his former girlfriend. Although Shen He was 1 year ahead of Yichen, they lived in the same dormitory, so he knew really well about Yichen's past. Girlfriend? Lao Yun had the expression of someone who had heard a fantasy story. He had a girlfriend before? Yes, Yichen's girlfriend broke up with him because she went to the United States. You mean, Lao Yun opened his eyes wide. Yichen was dumped? Yes, moreover, she left without telling him. After she has gone to the United States, he then found out about it. This incident was very widely known at the university. Yichen was very depressed for a while. At that time, he started to smoke and drink. Impossible. Lao Yun really could not imagine what kind of woman could abandon Yichen. No wonder he would not go near woman. A case of once bitten, twice shy. It was rush hour as everyone left work. Mosheng was not in a hurry to go home, so she wandered aimlessly in the crowd on the street. Until just a moment ago, she had no choice but to admit that she had changed. Before, it would be absolutely unlikely that she would avoid him. Now, obviously, she really wanted to see him, yet she did not dare. Back then, no matter how indifferent Yichen was, how his resistance made it feel like he was 1,000 miles away, she happily followed him around with a smile on her face. Now, she did not even have the courage to say a few words to him. Yichen said that she was the sunshine. The sunshine he wanted to refuse, yet could not. But now, even the sunshine in her own heart had disappeared, so what could she use to shine on others? A white BMW abruptly stopped in front of her. Mosheng did not look up and tried to avoid it. Then she heard a familiar voice. Get in the car. She looked up in surprise. It was him. Yichen saw her looking distracted, frowned, and said again, The car cannot stop here, so get in. Mosheng did not have time to consider what was going on, as the car brought them into the joined, endless traffic. Chinese or Western food? Yichen asked her while paying attention to the traffic situation in front. Chinese food, she replied reflectively, and then started to feel something was wrong. Chinese or Western food? Could he want to treat her to a meal? Yichen glanced at her coldly. Do you still know how to use chopstick? Mosheng pretended she did not hear his sarcasm. Instead, cautiously asked, Do you want to treat me to dinner? You pick up my wallet, so it's reasonable that I ought to thank you. Actually, you do not need to be so polite, Mosheng mumbled, suddenly feeling dejected. when do they resort to saying such impersonal things? They had dinner at the famous Yichen, where the beautiful setting, delicious cuisine, and attentive service could not improve Mushan's mood. Facing that expressionless face across the table, she was doomed to have indigestion. The musical ringtone from the mobile phone broke the silent atmosphere. Yichen answered the call. Hello? Yes, I'm at Yichen. No, there's also Zhao Mosheng. Met by coincidence. Suddenly he gave the phone to her. Yimei wants to talk to you. Mosheng took it. Hello? Hello, Mosheng. A gentle voice came from the other side. Yimei, long time no see. Yes, long time no see. Both sides were silent, not knowing what to say, so finally Yimei said, Mosheng, how have you been all these years? Not bad, until recently. I was reluctant to leave the U.S. Mosheng tried to act as casual and did not notice Yichen suddenly looking at her closely. There was another silence, and then Yimei said, Can you give me your contact number? We will find time to meet up again. Mosheng gave her phone number to her. After finishing the call, she gave the phone back to Yichen, but he did not take it. Enter your phone number into it. Mosheng was stunned for words and lowered her head to enter the number, but she encountered difficulty when entering the name. What kind of Chinese input method do you use? Stroke. Oh, she still could not type it out. How do you type the word mo? Yichen reached out to take the phone from her hand. I will do it. Mosheng felt embarrassed while watching his slender finger gracefully and rapidly typing on the silver phone. After a few seconds, he finished typing and put it away in his pocket. You have even forgotten how to write your Chinese name? No, it's just that I do not know how to use your mobile phone, Mosheng mumbled her explanation. He glanced at her and no longer spoke. Dinner was eaten in silent atmosphere, even until he drove her home. Getting out of the car, Mosheng said, Thank you for driving me home. He nodded his head and sped away. Mosheng stood there, feeling at loss. She did not know how long she stood there until she realized people passing by, glancing at her strangely. Only then did she snap out of it and hurriedly ran upstairs. Blind dates? Mosheng shouted at the top of her lungs. Keep your voice down, Huosheng covered Mushang's babbling mouth. Then Huosheng warned her, You're not allowed to yell out, okay? Mushang nodded her head quickly, waited until she was let go, and then asked, You want to go on blind dates? Not with me alone, it is we. We? Why? Mushang looked critically at Huosheng. We are the two of the oldest staff in the agency who do not have a boyfriend. Do you know, if we don't seize the date, we will not be able to get married. Huosheng rushed to check the calendar. Today's target is 2XX, Code System Engineer, so you and I are going on just right. If go, you go yourself. I'm not going. They have 2 people I cannot handle. Ashen, normally do I treat you well? Whether I can get married or not this year, it all depends on you. Huosheng looked at her pitifully, like an abandoned puppy. You can date one at a time. No, that is too inefficient. I also need your help. What kind of help? Mushang said cautiously, as it was never easy to help Huosheng. Seeing Mushang backing down, Huosheng took out a lot of things from her desk, such as a black rimmed glass, weird-looking wigs, earrings big enough to be bracelets, and some very colorful clothes. What are those? Mushang stared at the pile of stuff. To make you look ugly, to bring out my beauty. I'm your victim number what? When it was time to get off work, Huosheng grabbed her and ran downstairs. When they finally reached downstairs, she screamed, I forgot to take my Sherwin lipstick. She rushed back up to take the Sherwin blind date lipstick. Mushang was waiting for her at the front door. Suddenly she felt heated. She turned around and unexpectedly saw Yichen. He met her line of vision and nodded his head at her to send greeting. Her heart beat faster. Could he be here to look for her? It had been almost a month since the silent dinner. They have not been in contact, so this time, could he be here to look for her? She involuntarily walked towards him. How come you are here? Waiting for a person, he replied briefly. Oh, Yichen, a slender and beautiful woman with a soft feminine voice appeared in her line of vision, making Mushan's heart sink. The person I have been waiting for is here, so I will go first, he flatly told her and left together with that woman. Okay, goodbye. She just stood there blankly and watched him walk to the direction of the car park. Actually, she did not have the strength to move her feet until Washington appeared and pulled her away. Why are you standing there foolishly? Walk faster as we're going to be late. I also need to help you put on makeup. Remember, you have to behave a little worse than me. Mushan simply did not need to pretend, as during the blind date dinner, she really did look dull and unresponsive, perfectly helping to highlight Washington's radiant personality. He came to wait for her again. Mushan looked down from the floor to ceiling window and saw Yichen in a simple shirt and pants looking handsome downstairs. In this month, he will come here once every 4 to 5 days, then leave together with that beautiful woman. Today was a weekend, and he came again. He never waited for her before. Ashen, Washington squinted. Hey, today's the weekend. You follow me. Okay. Washington was surprised. You know what I want to do? Blind dates. Mushan tidily said. Given her previous outstanding performance, Washington regarded her as her blind dates companion, so every weekend she would drag her to go to blind dates. But it was really fun to go on blind dates with her, since she would not have to worry that man will like her. She only needed to go have dinner and watch Washington put on a show to amuse others. Today, what kind of man are you seeing? Today is a young and talented man, a surgeon having Western food. Mushan cannot help but be amused by her attitude. It can't be denied that she was quite a pro as the blind dates got better and better. Unfortunately, no man has been won over. Instead, due to inexplicable reason, they either become her good friends or her friend's husband. Huasinja, who was 29 years old and considered old for marriage, vowed to marry any man who would have her. Due to the need to go home early to make up, Mushan left work on time. 'Tis it was inevitable to encounter Yichen, who was waiting downstairs. Mushan only wanted to walk past him with her head held down. She did not expect Huasinja to suddenly stop and look with fierce eyes at Yichen, beautiful companion who was standing beside him. This is too much, Huasinja grunted her teeth and said angrily. Before Mushan can react, she was pulled by her to stand in front of Yichen and that beauty. Vixen, you still seducing man? That beauty, although looked delicate and soft, surprisingly said boldly. Blind date maniac, you're still dragging other people to accommodate you to go on blind dates? She glanced at Mushan. She looks a lot prettier than you, so you would just be a wallflower and not be able to get married in this lifetime. The two people actually began to quarrel. Mushan was dumbstruck and greeted Yichen awkwardly. His complexion seems rather bad, which was understandable since anyone would not be happy to have their girlfriend being scolded as a vixen. I'm sorry. Although she speaks harshly, it is without any bad intent. Mushan tried to defend Huasinja. Yichen gave her a killer stare, and his voice sounded cold as ice. Are you going on blind date? Yes. Mushan did not know what to say, but her hesitant attitude would only reaffirm his opinion. He did not say anything, his expression fragile as he glanced at her, then turned around and laughed. Yichen, wait for me. That beauty who quarreled with Huasinja stopped fighting and hurriedly followed when she saw him leaving. Mushan simply did not have any time to sort out her mood because Huasinja's expression was really weird, as she was actually crying. Huasinja. The Huasinja who put on a show to amuse others daily was crying? Xiaohun, you're crying just because you failed to win in your quarrel? Very shameful. What do you know? Huasinja stared at her with widely opened eyes and tearful eyes. She stole my first boyfriend. Ah, indeed, it was a bitter and deep-seated hatred. Mushan immediately joined her in being angry and patted her shoulder. There are plenty more fish in the sea. We will find a good one tonight to infuriate her. I'm not angry at her for stealing the person I like. I am angry at her for not cherishing him, resulting him in having a car accident. Then she abandoned him when he became crippled. How can she be like this? Why he still love this kind of person? Why does he not like me, just because I'm not as beautiful as her? Mushan listened in surprise. She did not expect the always staring-eyed infatuated Huashenje would have such a story. Indeed, the person with the more cheerful outward appearance will have a more vulnerable heart inside. Because of the quarrel, both of them were late for the first time. Mushan also did not have time to put on ugly makeup. Huashenje was depressed, so she did not take the time or initiative to put on a show to amuse others. As a result, the two outstanding surgeons were actually very interested in them. Could this be regarded as a blessing in disguise? Due to the men's excessive enthusiasm, the four of them went to a movie, then to a karaoke bar, and finally to supper. They stayed out later than 11 p.m. before returning home. Finally, Mushan was relieved when she saw her home in sight. Dr. John, I have reached my home. Thank you for sending me back. Oh, Dr. John stopped talking about heart disease and politely said, Good night, Miss Zhao. I had a good time today. Me too. Good night. Mushan smilingly said and waited for him to walk away before going upstairs. The lights in the corridor were broken, so it seemed a bit dark. She walked up to the fourth floor and fumbled for the door key. Suddenly, a tall and dark shadow appeared in her line of vision. Mushan was shocked and dropped her keys on the floor. You... Before she could finish talking, she was pulled into a strong embrace, and her unsuspecting lips were pressed. He mercilessly brandished her lips repeatedly. Those fiercely kisses even spread to the neck, seemingly wanting to crazily pour out all the pent-up anger. His hands torn open her collar. She started to feel a slight chill in her upper chest, and he immediately covered it with kisses. Mushan did not have a chance to react, but was caught up and unprepared in the spilled bombs and delirious confusion. The ambiguous atmosphere was filled with the smell of alcohol. Alcohol? He had been drinking. Mushan became more clear-headed and exclaimed in an unsteady breath, Yichen? He stopped all his movement, buried his head in her neck, and repeatedly grasped for air. A long time later, only then his hoarse voice was heard. I have lost. What did this mean? After so many years, I still lost to you, suffering a crushing defeat. Why did he sound so bitter? Yichen, what are you saying? Are you drunk? She asked anxiously. There was silence, and then he suddenly pushed her away. His beautiful eyes shined awkwardly and resentfully in the dark night. His voice sounded strangely sober and cold. I'm not drunk. I'm crazy. He turned and suddenly disappeared, like he had suddenly appeared. If not for the slight tingling feeling on the lips, she would think this was a ridiculous dream. She picked up the keys to open the door. After entering the house, she just stood foolishly at the doorway. If the phone did not suddenly ring, she did not know how long she would stand there. After picking up the phone, she immediately heard Huashen's excited voice. Ashin, how are things at your end? What? Mushan temporarily did not understand what she was saying. Say quickly. Did that Dr. John say anything? Did he ask you when to meet up next time? No. How can that be? Huashen cried out. He obviously looked very interested. He was probably pleased to have heard someone willingly to listen to his Hearts in Love special topic lecture. How about you? Mushan did not want to beat around the bush, so asked her directly. He invited me to watch a movie tomorrow. Scary laughter came from the other side. Ashin, starting tomorrow I want to behave like a lady.